Okay, so the past couple days we have been working with editing photographs, and yesterday we were working with the website GCF Learn Free, and we're doing cropping, rotation, and resizing of pictures. And you downloaded some pictures, these ones right here, put them in a folder, and you did your thing with those 3 tools and had a total of 12. So we have a very similar lesson this time, but now we're in the section where it's called fixing common problems, and those common problems are brightness and contrast, color, and sharpness. So just going through this lesson really quickly, with those tools, here are the 6 original images that you're going to be working with. So once again, you'll download those. But before I do that, I'm just going to go through kind of what the lesson is asking you to do. Pixlr X again is the program online that we'll be using. So brightness. Sometimes your image comes out too bright or too dark, and you're going to use brightness and contrast to actually fix that. So this right here, you're having a difficult time kind of seeing the faces a little bit. The tree is providing a little too much shade for your subject, so there are ways to fix that with image editing. So when there's not a lot of light in the picture, you can get some what they call noise or graininess, and that's why we have cool tools like Photoshop and others to fix that. Here's another example. Original image, a little too dark. Maybe you didn't use the flash. There's all sorts of reasons why, but we can fix it. Now, contrast is the difference between light and dark areas in a picture. So on this website, they actually give you a little tool right here to show that. So if you were to put this right in the middle here, that's a pretty good picture, just original picture. More contrast. As you can see, it's just kind of making the darks darker and the lights lighter. And if you take less contrast, then it just kind of gets washed out, and everything's kind of muted in the same kind of note, if you will, as far as the picture goes. So there's a way to kind of get that nice medium balance with the brightness and contrast. So in Pixlr, there's an adjust button. Brightness, exposure, and contrast that you can mess around with and make the picture look better. Photoshop, once we get into that, there are a lot of more tools that we can use, including levels and curves that make it way easier. So color correction, you have saturation that you have to deal with. So dull and muted colors need to be less or more saturated to become more vivid. So you have original image, slightly more saturated, even more saturated right here, maybe a little too fake according to some people. Original image right here, desaturated, takes some of it away, and then you're back to black and white. So when you're removing saturation, you're actually getting more towards the black and white instead of color. So again, on this site, you can kind of mess around with the saturation tool to see the differences. So I would like right here, I would have saturated it right here because I like the bright, vibrant pinks and the foreground greens right here. So on Pixlr X, you're at the adjust button. You have vibrance, saturation, temperature, and tint. So we're messing with saturation this time. This is too much, so that looks cartoony. So you want to be careful when you're doing your saturations. Other color corrections that we will go over once we get into Photoshop: vibrance, temperature, and filters. I mean, yeah, you can get into them with Pixlr X, but for the most part, we're just going to do the 3 tools from today. Another one we're going to do is sharpening. You're enhancing the edges of a photo. So this one looks a little kind of blurry. With the sharpening tool, you can make it look much better. You can see the edges of the feathers come out a little better. More detail in the face. This one right here, over sharpened, it looks like a pencil sketch. So there is such a thing as enhancing a photo too much. We've all seen it on Instagram, haven't we? So again, we have a tool that we can play with to kind of get that sharpness looking good. Again, that's way too unnatural. If we got down to maybe here, then we're looking at a really good picture of a hawk. On Pixlr X, you're going to filter. On that filter, you've got sharpen, clarity, and smooth, and we're going to play around with the sharpen tool. Image noise has to do with like the graininess that you'll get in a photo, and a lot of times it has to do with the light that was either there or not there. So with image noise, that can be fixed with tools and art editing as well. So you can give a little slider to play with that too. And Pixlr X, you can go to the filter and there's a denoise filter that will help you do that. And then you've always got, put your faith into the software to auto-fix things, which sometimes does the trick. I've done that with some sports posters where you just do auto-fix and you're like, wow, that looks pretty good. I'm not sure if I can really make that look much better. So that's always a nice way in Photoshop or some other advanced program to get your images looking pretty darn good. So, alright, so the first one that we're going to do is mess with the brightness feature. And so the picture that they've chosen, and we'll do the same just to maintain continuity, is our couple or brother and sister or whatever their relationship is here in the park. So we're going to open this image in Pixlr X and adjust the brightness and contrast. So let's try that. Here we are in Pixlr X again. We're going to open up our image, and here's the pictures. I believe this is the one we want. Full HD is great. And so now we go to adjust. And in the adjust section, we have several sections to choose from. In this case, we want to go with light, and this is where brightness and contrast are. So we're going to kind of bring up the brightness, which automatically we're looking good, but then we want to play with contrast as well so it doesn't get too bright on us. So we can kind of play with this till we like it. That's a little too dark, I think. It kind of takes away from the brightness adjustment we did, so maybe 4. So I'll keep it right there. And now that we've made our adjustments, we can apply the settings and save. And again, you want to change the file name from full size to something like bright and contrast. So we know that's the one that we made a change to. So we'll download that and we'll go on to the next one. So the next adjustment we'll be making is color correction. So the picture that they've used is these pink flowers. So we're going to mess with saturation and color and vividness. And so here we go. We're going to adjust the color and vibrance. So it's telling us to find the saturation slider and decrease or increase the saturation. So we'll go attempt to do that. Going back to Pixlr X, I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to open up our new image. And the one we're talking about is the full size here. Create new. And here it is. So let us find the adjustment for this. So once again, we're going to our setting right here, which is called Adjustment Filter, and instead of light, like we did for the other one, we're going to go to color, and this is where our saturation slider is. So we are going to play with saturation. You can see if you take it all the way down, it gets really muted. If you take it all the way up, it's a little too bright, and it kind of washes out these features in the top. So we want to find a happy medium and just make those flowers look really good. So I'm going to go here at 24. I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to save. Again, renaming. We're going to call this saturation. Download that, and then our very last tool that we're going to adjust with is sharpening. So picture of the hawk, I don't think so. It's going to have to be something else that we use. So it might be this building picture that we're going to do for noise reduction or sharpness. So let's find that one. Going back to Pixlr, we're going to go home. We're going to open up our image, the one that is here. Let's do the museum one. Do some sharpness features on that. So we have our picture, and again we're in our adjustments tile, and instead of color or light, we're going to go to details, and right here is our sharpen tool. Oh yeah, that sharpens the words. right up. So I'm going to go maybe halfway. I'm going to apply, save, and once again, to rename. To sharpen. Download that. So I've got 3 down, and I've got 3 to go. So we're going to use those 3 tools on the remaining 3 pictures. And here's how you'll turn them in. Alright, so once you have those photographs, all 6, with an adjustment of some sort, so I showed you 3, and then you're going to do the remaining 3 and use the 3 tools that we did. So you're going to have a total of 12 pictures. So here's how we turn it in. On the student side, we're going to go to brightness, contrast, and we're going to add that document. And just like the other assignment, we're going to add our pictures in. So before and after, basically. So full size and then the adjustment. So if I were to do insert image from my pictures, the very first one I did was the park scene, this one. And then I did a brightness for that, so I'm going to insert image, and is that going to be in my downloads, I think? Yes, so that was the brightness contrast. So you can see the difference between the 2 pictures, and then the other pictures that I did. I'll just do one more set. Pictures. The second one I did was the building, I believe. Correct? Yes? No. Is the flowers. And then I'm going to do the after version of the flowers, which is in my downloads. And it was the saturation one, so we can see the difference between those 2 now. And so forth. So again, all 12 pictures, 6 originals, and the 6 that you've made changes to. And then when you have all 12, you're going to turn that in. And that's it for brightness, contrast, color, and sharpness. I'll see you back in class.